This is a guest essay written by Daniel Greenfield, a Shillman Journalism Fellow at the David Horowitz Freedom Center.
O God, do not be silent. Hold not thy peace, and be not still. The chief rabbi of Israel prayed the words of Psalm 83 over the bodies of two murdered children, Ariel and Kafir, their mother Shiri, and an elderly man named Oded Lifshitz. Hamas and other Palestinian terrorists had mockingly paraded their coffins to the cheers and jeers of Muslim men, women, and children occupying Gaza while upbeat music played. They mixed up the bodies, locked the boxes, and then attached keys that did not work. After inspecting the coffins for explosives, Israel had covered them with its blue and white flag and prayed over them. Islam is an honor-shame culture, and to humiliate the bodies of the children of your enemies is to show the strength of Allah, while jeering the bodies of murdered children shows the glory of Islam. The celebration and mocking of the bodies of murdered children was not the work of some fringe group. Hamas took care to have every Islamic terrorist organization taking part in claiming victory, including the Palestine Liberation Organization's Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, representing the Palestinian Authority, and the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, Omar al-Qasim Brigades, popular on college campuses, as well as the Al-Ansar Brigades, which has links to Al-Qaeda. There is no so-called Palestinian group that was not there to take its share of credit for the dead children. The message being sent by the representatives of 7 different Islamic terrorist groups in Israel, carrying the coffins of their victims, is of a united front committed to the destruction of Israel and the killing of all non-Muslims, to be followed by the creation of an Islamic theocracy. Nor was the ghoulish scene some local Palestinian phenomenon, as people like to think. Hamas is an arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood formerly ran Egypt and Tunisia, runs politics in Morocco, has legislators in Algeria and Libya, celebrated the takeover of Syria by its Al-Qaeda allies, and dominates Muslim expat politics in America, Europe, and around the West through groups such as Council on American Islamic Relations, which celebrated the October 7th attacks, and the Federation of Islamic Organizations in Europe. The choreography and graphics for the hostage handovers allegedly came from Al Jazeera, Qatar's state propaganda outlet, whose personnel have doubled as terrorists in Gaza. Qatar is a state sponsor of the Muslim Brotherhood and funded its Hamas arm. Qatar's so-called negotiations that led to the parade of coffins were meant to allow Hamas to claim victory. Other state sponsors of Hamas include Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan, and non-Muslim allies like China and Russia, which hosted unity meetings between Hamas and other Islamic terror groups. What happened in Gaza was not the doing of a small, extremist group, but the Islamic ideology of hundreds of millions of people in the Middle East and around the world, including in the West. The Biba's children, 9-month-old Kfir and 4-year-old Ariel, the ages at the time of their kidnapping, along with their mother, join a litany of other Israeli children and family members murdered by Hamas and Islamic terrorists. On October 7th, the Simantov family was murdered, including their twin 5-year-old daughters and 2-year-old son Omer, their bodies burned. The Kapshadar family, including 8-year-old Aline and 5-year-old Ethan, were massacred while returning from a family trip. 9-month-old Mila Cohen was shot in the arms of her father. Her 73-year-old grandmother was also murdered. A pregnant woman was shot on the way to the hospital. Dozens of other children were kidnapped or killed. But October 7th was nothing new. In 1970, Palestinian terrorists ambushed an Israeli school bus carrying children, killing 12 people, including 9 children, and wounding 25 others. The Ma'alat massacre was a Palestinian terrorist attack that occurred in 1974 and involved the hostage-taking of 115 Israelis, chiefly school children, which ended in the murder of 25 hostages and 6 other civilians. It began when three armed members of the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine infiltrated Israel from Lebanon. Soon afterwards, they attacked a van, killing two Israeli Arab women while injuring a third, and entered an apartment building in the town of Ma'alot, where they killed a couple and their 4-year-old son. From there, they headed for the Netiv Meir Elementary School in Ma'alot, where they took hostage more than 115 people, including 105 children. Ultimately, 25 hostages, including 22 children, were killed, and 68 more were injured. In 1980, a group of 5 Palestinian terrorists from the Arab Liberation Front, a faction aligned with Iraq, infiltrated Kibbutz Misgav Am, which is located near the Lebanese border. The terrorists stormed the Children's House, the communal nursery where infants and young children slept, taking several toddlers and a caregiver hostage. The attack resulted in the tragic death of a 2-year-old child, Ayel Gluska, and the wounding of other children. During the First Intifada, from 1987 to 1993, at least 57 Israeli children were killed by Palestinian violence, including stabbings, shootings, firebombings, and lynchings. While much of the media at the time focused on Palestinian youths confronting Israeli forces, Israeli civilians, including children, were also frequent targets of terror attacks. In 2001, a Palestine Liberation Organization terrorist sniper shot Shalavet Pass, a 9-month-old girl, while she was sitting in her stroller in Hebron. Her father had been previously attacked with an axe, and her aunt stabbed in the back as a teenager. The terrorist could have shot the parents. He picked a baby. In 2002, a Muslim terrorist got as close as he could to the children at a bar mitzvah on a Sabbath in Jerusalem before he blew up. The dead included the Nemad family, both parents and 2 of their daughters, 3-year-old Liran and 7-year-old Shiraz, along with their 18-month-old cousin Oriah and her 12-year-old brother, who had been sent by his father to get the car keys. In 2004, Muslim terrorists massacred the Hatuel family. 2-year-old Mirav, shot in the head while in her car seat, 7-year-old Ronnie, 9-year-old Hadar, and 11-year-old Hila, along with their mother who was 8 months pregnant with a never-to-be-born baby boy. In 2011, Muslim terrorists with the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, a terrorist group active on American campuses, broke into the Fogel home on Shabbat, partially decapitated 3-month-old Hadas in her crib, stabbed 4-year-old Elad in the heart, and killed 11-year-old Yoav. 2 other children survived by hiding. Hamas demanded and secured the release of these child-murdering terrorists as part of the Biden-Witkoff hostage deal signed last month between Israel and Hamas. Hezbollah had demanded the release of Samir Kuntar, who had smashed in the head of Einat Hanar, a 4-year-old girl, against a rock with his rifle butt. On his release, Iran's government and Hezbollah honored him. The Palestine Liberation Organization praised him as an authentic role model, and Al Jazeera's Beirut office chief threw him a party and called him a pan-Arab hero. Muslim terrorists did not murder these children as collateral damage. Killing children is the point. In 2001, a Hamas terrorist attack on a Jerusalem pizza place saw people, babies, thrown through the window and covered with blood, and survivors described wading through bodies, including the bodies of children. The worst thing I saw, which I think will haunt me all my life, is a baby that was sitting in a stroller outside a shop and was dead, another eyewitness related. After the explosion, the baby's mother came out of the store and started screaming hysterically. One of the Hamas terrorists involved in the attack said, "We have to send them a message that their children are not safe." Another of the Hamas terrorists involved in the attack described her reaction while riding on a Muslim bus. "While I was on the bus and everybody was congratulating one another, they said on the radio that there had been a martyrdom attack at the Sparrow restaurant and that 3 people were killed. I admit that I was a bit disappointed because I had hoped for a larger toll. Yet, when they said 3 dead, I said, Allah be praised." 2 minutes later, they said on the radio that the number had increased to 5. I wanted to hide my smile, but I just couldn't. Allah be praised, it was great. As the number of dead kept increasing, the passengers were applauding. The killing of Jewish children by Muslim terrorists predated the rebirth of Israel. Almost 100 years ago, during the 1929 Hebron massacre, before there was even a modern state of Israel, Muslim mobs wiped out the Jewish community there. The dead included children like Menachem Segal, 3 years old, whose mother held him in her arms and begged the Muslim mob not to kill him. Menachem was stabbed in the head, and his mother's fingers were cut off. Why kill children? It is allowed for us to kill their women and children, even if that were to cause us to miss taking them as wealth, slaves, due to its breaking the hearts of the enemy, explained Saudi Sheikh Ibn Uthaymin in a fatwa, a non-binding legal ruling on Islamic law issued by a religious scholar. This was the fatwa Hamas was following in its celebration of its murder of children. But the killing of children is the ultimate expression of the Islamic genocidal goal in Gaza. Peace was always a lie. The invading Islamic population was there to wipe out the Jews, completely. And not just the Jews. Not long before the handover of the bodies of the Bibas children, a 2-year-old girl and her mother became the latest victims of the Muslim terrorist attack in Munich, Germany. Last month, the Muslim terrorist who stabbed 8 little girls at a dance class in the United Kingdom, 3 of them fatally pleaded guilty. One 6-year-old girl was stabbed 122 times and another 85 times. The warrior of Allah stabbed the little girls while they ran for their lives. He told authorities, quote, "It's a good thing those children are dead. I'm so glad. I'm so happy." In Russia, Israel, and Nigeria, Muslim terrorists have attacked schools and taken children hostage. Like all monsters, they prey on the weak, killing our children to wipe us out and replace us. At the remains of the bodies of the Bibas children, the chief rabbi of Israel prayed, saying, "O God, do not be silent. We cannot know what God will do, but we are the ones who must not remain silent